Well, let's shift gears one more time.
It's morphin' time!
Over to our main topic, which is
Dungeons and Dragons.
Honor Amongst Thieves. We're going to do an exit survey here. And Nick, why don't you hit us with the synopsis real quick?
Before I do that, is that Neil Patrick Harris's voice? It kind of sounds like him.
Dungeons and Dragons.
I don't know. This is from their children's show that I would say came out in maybe the early 90s.
Probably not then, but it still sounds like him. It's kind of weird. Anyways, the synopsis for Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves. A charming thief and a band of unlikely adventurers embark on an epic quest to retrieve a lost relic, but things go dangerously awry when they run afoul of the wrong people.
All right. This was written and directed by the duo of John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein. You may remember them from such movies as Spider-Man Homecoming, such as Date Night, such as Waiting, such as a couple more, so on and so forth there. And starring Chris Pine, the second best Chris, according to us, as Edgin, Michelle Rodriguez as Holga, Reggie Jean Page as Zhenk. Yeah, Zhenk Yender. See, now I'm in my own head, Nick.
Oh, yeah, you're fine.
I told you how to say it to begin with, and now I'm screwing it up.
We watched the movie, everybody. It's just been.
I swear to God. I swear to God, it did. Justice Smith, maybe the best current of the Smith family. Maybe that question will come up a little bit later. Justice Smith playing Simon, Sophia Lillis as Doric, Hugh Grant as Forge Fitzwilliam. Chloe Coleman as Kira, and Daisy Head as Sophina, aptly named Daisy Head because she was bald in this role.
She's also in what's the show that I love? Shadow and Bone. She's also in that one too, and plays another witch-like character, but definitely different.
Oh, a little typecast, huh?
Maybe Justice Smith. He's related to Will Smith?
I think so. I think he's in the family. Yeah.
I don't think he is. But anyways,
he's still the best Smith.
There we go. That's fine. Trying to think of whatever. Anyways, as for the box office reception, this hauled in $207 million worldwide, including $92.8 million domestically and $37.2 million in its opening weekend. Received a 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb, a 91-93 split on Rotten Tomatoes. So the critics and the audience are in lockstep on this one. 4.4 out of 5 on Google reviews, with 92% of Google users liking this movie.
All right, so I may have just put out some fake news there about Justice Smith. However, they do look alike, though, right? I can see
I don't see it.
The Justice Smith, Will Smith. And is it Jaden Smith? Is that his real son, Jaden?
Yeah, I haven't seen a picture of Jaden Smith.
Jaden Justice. I could see them being brothers. I can see that there.
Okay,
that's just me.
What do you think I'm not gonna make you guess again. I keep doing this too. The budget for Dungeons and Dragons, at least at first look, $150 million. So I guess I don't.
Let me see here. I would say $225 million.
No, I'm sorry. I said I wasn't making you guess. It was $150 million.
Oh, it was $150 million. Oh,
yes.
Oh,
yes.
All right. So all right, $300 million, say, for marketing. Total there, all in package. They're going to make some money on this.
Yeah. They made a little bit. At least they got their money back. But if it's a success, it's like 1.5. Anyways, $207 million worldwide. All right. It deserved better than that, I think.
I agree, but this could have maybe some shelf life to it, and maybe overseas too. I don't know what's going on in China. Maybe this is a big hit.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and it is available for purchase on Prime if you don't subscribe to Paramount Plus.
And I think it's still in some theaters too. I think I saw in like the Providence Place Mall, like some of the bigger theaters, like it's still out there. So yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, maybe check out the theaters that won't have a 30-minute lying start time for you.
This one is not 3 hours and 47 minutes long, so you got that going for you too.
Yes, you do. So score and tweet length review. I'll start here. I'll give this an 87 out of 100. This is solid high fantasy IP adaptation for me. This is just fun here. It's a fun adventure with decent jokes and a refreshingly light take on everything, while still holding true to the genre. I think that I'm not huge on the high fantasy genre, but I think it holds up there.
Yep,
and it was a great group. It was a great
Yes.
group of people. I loved them all. I didn't have a problem with any one of the main group of Voyagers.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think Wes and I are in the same dorm, same building,
Mm-hmm.
same
We're
floor,
splitting
even.
rent. We're
Yes.
splitting rent. Yeah.
We're splitting rent. Yeah, I guess we could put it.
I think so.
It depends on how far we want to go this thing. Because if it's like 8, if we were on the same grade, like what does that mean? Are we in the same bedroom or
Yeah. Yeah.
bunk beds?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I give this an 89 out of 100. Is all I'm trying to say here. Big win for IP adaptations. I agree with Wes. I think this is this could be a good thing for them moving forward. Just like Mario was. Definitely a must see if you're into high fantasy. Really good action, quality writing, and at least one character in there for everyone to get behind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would think we would be like that old couple that sleeps in separate twin beds, but maybe like on the anniversary and maybe like a holiday, we push it together for a night, like something like that.
Yeah.
Start bumping uglies again. The exit survey question here. Did this movie exceed your expectations or were you surprised by this movie?
Yeah, look, as much as I'm a high fantasy guy, I'm not a Dungeons and Dragons guy, and I'm not like Magic the Gathering. I know those are two different things. I know that, but I'm not into the games necessarily. As much as I did love Skyrim as a video game, but I had low expectations going into this just because I know the world is just so massive, and I don't know if there's like an actual story in there, how it works. So when it first got announced, I was like, I don't think. And then you were like, well, let's do something on this. I was like, are you sure about that? In my head, I was thinking. But as we saw more like in previews and stuff like that, I was like, no, this looks pretty good and still better than I expected it to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'm not a Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons type of guy. I think my brother may have played a little D&D, but he's 7 years my senior. So there may have been some stuff lying around the house, like an old like board game and stuff, but not into any of that. But I think I love the idea of it. I love the idea of the story around it. Like I don't know, like I couldn't get into playing the game, but the idea of getting lost in a role player dice game is very cool to me. Like I would love to read like the stories of it. So I think from that aspect, like I was like interested in the idea of it, but too much of a pussy to actually pursue playing it out of fear that I might be a loser.
It's
you know what I mean? I was like, so I'm just gonna admire it from afar.
Yeah, I just never could. That's just not like games like this are not my thing. Like if I'm gonna play games, it's gonna be video games. Like I like cards. Don't get me wrong, I fucking love cards, but it's just not. I like them for collecting more so.
Yeah, exactly. So again, I had no real backstory, so that also helps with the low expectation. I don't know if they've really screwed up the lore, or gotten anything super wrong, or anything like that. So just kind of took it for what it was, and it was great. I enjoyed it, and if this. I would go see a sequel of this. I don't know how you build upon it to make it, if hopefully it doesn't get too broken down and jokey like Thor 4 was or something like that, where you kind of get like too much of a good thing.
Yeah, I still like Thor Love and Thunder, but they definitely took some massive swings on that one. This is comfortable. Like this, that's why we give this, I would not give this an A. Like I'm very comfortable at giving it an 89. I think it can be anywhere from for people like an 82 to an 89. Like to me, that makes sense in that range.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's too much, but
yeah. I think if you're a D&D person, maybe give it away.
That totally changes things 1,000%.
Or maybe you hated it if that was the case. I wouldn't know, and I don't really care. Who was your favorite core character in this of the main traveling group?
So this is tough. So okay, so Zank is not part of the main traveling group, but I really liked him a lot. I thought he was really cool.
He was awesome. He'll come up later for sure.
But to me, it was between Dorich and Holga. Because anytime Holga was in an action scene, I'm just like, fuck, dude, this is amazing. This is some awesome, I know it's like a one versus a bunch of different characters, but the sequences that they had were flawless, I thought. But at the same time, Dorich is really fucking cool. Like the owl bear and shit, man. That was pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, and she's got kind of that. What is it? Sweet Tooth? Is that the show that's on Netflix of the superhero with the half deer type of thing, right?
Yes,
she's got that vibe going on with the antlers. I like their whole will they or won't they thing going on with Simon. So I'm a big fan of George. And again, she's like kind of comes in as a smart ass right away to edge in and kind of like pointing out that he doesn't really do anything, which I love. I love that he's like the leader who doesn't really do anything at all.
Mhm.
And Helga was great too. I didn't have a problem with Helga so much. Although just the character herself, I just feel like we've seen that before, particularly out of Michelle Rodriguez. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's a very similar type of character that you get out of these high fantasy stories. So nothing bad about it, but I'm not sure if that really like blew me away either. But the person I really loved is Simon. I loved his whole story of being the loser sorcerer who kind of has to gain his self-confidence. Again, nothing that's really new and groundbreaking here as far as like a character trope in a group. But I really enjoyed him. I like Justice Smith just maybe in general. You know, going back to the Jurassic World days, I think he kind of plays that dorky, dweeby kind of maybe for lack of a better term, beta male pretty well. But he's also like funny and then kind of grows a spine along the way.
Yeah, I mean, like he's in Detective Pikachu too, which I liked him. I think a little more there than I did in the Jurassic World stuff. But here he was good. Yeah, he was not. He wasn't in contention for my favorite, but he was good. There's no doubt. Like you said, when you look at the 4 main characters in that team, like in general, I don't think I had a character that I didn't like in this movie of the main
for sure.
characters.
Yeah, and I would think Dorich kind of presents that that classic tank that you need in your classic heavy, and Simon's kind of like a jack of all trades. He can do like almost everything. He's probably like the most useful in the group, the only thing that's really holding him back is himself.
Yep, 100%. Yeah.
What was the most rewatchable scene, Nick? And this was a weird question. Before you jump in, I'm going to kind of answer this halfway. Was that like there was no real scene? I was thinking back, like I think part of what I liked about this movie was that there was not really one scene that jumped out as like a marquee moment for me. I just kind of enjoyed the whole ride.
Yes. Yeah. It was there was a lot of good action in this, and the plot was like basic in a way, but it was kind of felt like it was ever evolving in it to an extent too. It's just like, because that makes sense, because Ed, like he's like his plans, he's constantly trying to pivot throughout everything because things constantly go wrong, and so it makes sense. And I would think from a game standpoint that would make a lot of sense too, especially in a game like Dungeons and Dragons versus Chance and everything like that. Again, not having played, a whole lot of role playing, the board games and stuff like that. But anyways, so they did a good job of like making this a simple story, but still kind of moving it around. And that played into what you're talking about, where it's like, there's a lot of cool action, but it's just like, there's not like one thing that's just like jaw dropping. That said, there were some good moments. I do like anytime Dorich was the owl bear, specifically when she beat the shit out of Sophia.
Oh yeah, that kind of had like the Loki Hulk kind of moment, right? Didn't that
100%.
remind you of that?
Yes, 100%. As soon as you started to say something right there, I'm like, I know where he's going with this. I didn't think about it till right there. Yeah, great call. But she was awesome there. All the magic stuff was very, very cool.
Yes.
And then the
Red Wizard stuff, I like that. And that's kind of like a creepy depiction of like a dark priestess or dark priest. Like I thought that was pretty effective. I don't know, the way they had them laid out with the red imagery, it worked for me.
It had the Night Sisters from Star Wars vibes too. It was very cool. And then my last thing would be Zank destroying the Thay assassins. Oh my god, it was so cool. Anything Holga was doing from action wise too. I didn't write this down, but again, constantly I'm like, holy shit! Like this is huge for Michelle Rodriguez personally, I thought.
Oh yeah. I mean, she's the one that you want when you want a badass chick in a movie, right? That can hold their own. And I love right from the beginning when they go right into the prison scene there, right? And they're kind of showing that, and then it's Edgin and Holaga. What's her name? Holga. There we go. And they're in the cell together, and they get that new kind of like ogre cellmate in, and he immediately tries to hit on her, and then she like knocks out his kneecaps. Like they're facing the other way. He's got inverted legs. Like he's got like flamingo legs at that point.
Rough.
Like, oh man, this is going to be fun. This is a good way to start things off.
I honestly forgot about that one in the course. That was quite the tone setter.
Yeah, yeah, and again, like just like you mentioned, there's great action throughout, but a couple of things that I thought would be the rewatchable scenes were the lacking action, kind of more dialogue scenes here. So when they're asking the dead people the 5 questions using the Deathly Token, love that scene. I thought that was great. And then you even get the stinger at the end where it's like, you only asked me 4 questions, I'm still here. Ask me the 5th, and then like
Yeah.
the thing in the beginning where it's like, why are you asking it in the form of a question? Or they're like, is this a question? Does this count as a question? They use them all right away. That's funny to me. That was
Yeah.
good. That was a good little bit.
It was great.
And also the Jonathan gag with Edgin and then later Forge trying to break out of the prison using the eagle.
Yeah.
And he's just
Jonathan.
yeah,
So
is
weird.
it Jonathan?
Yes, it is. I have subtitles on. That's the only
Oh,
reason I
okay.
knew that. When I first heard it, I'm like, they said Jonathan, right? And then I saw the subtitles again. It's like Jonathan. I'm like, huh?
Oh, okay. That my mistake there. Yeah, but no, I thought that was hilarious. And he's like, Jonathan would really understand his point. You're thinking this guy's really going to help him out, and he just has no idea. He just ambushes him, and then to see Forge try to do the same thing later at the end of the movie, and then it's just a brick wall. Very funny. Nice callback. That's good stuff.
Yeah, it was. That was very well done. That is a good point. Yes, but yeah, that's a weird freaking name, Jonathan.
Yeah, there are some weird names in here too. So Edgin, Forge, all that stuff, right? But some very cool items used through this, and that's kind of one of the running themes through this. I'm sure it's the same way in the games. You got to use different relics and different items, and some are stronger than others, and they cancel each other out in some ways. So, what was your favorite relic that was used throughout this?
Well, you've jotted down the biggest one. I think was the hither thither staff. I mean, that was really cool. Yeah,
that's so awesome. And then again, like even talking about rewatchable scenes when they're breaking into the vault and trying to get into even before the vault, right? Trying to get into the carriage that's going to be dropping off all the gold in there. That was really cool on how they did it, and like it's getting knocked over, and then they're rolling. I don't know. I just very, very well executed. I had a fun time with it.
And look, I know that sometimes you bring these types of items in, and it can they can be like they're plot devices, right? It moves the things along, and then it's just like it could help writers out, but at the same time, you expect to see these kind of things in this world, and they did a really good job of introducing some of this stuff, and then like not using it till later. It's like it's been here this whole time, but no one actually knew what the fuck it was. Specifically, that's the hither thither thing. But then but some of the other things, it's just like they're not. It made sense every single time because I'm thinking of the resurrection stone too, where it's this whole time we're thinking he's going to bring back his wife, or we're in question of like, was he lied to by the con man? Like,
right.
Not what he said it was originally. So that whole bit was those were really interesting. But I also not a thing that I think had a name, but Holga's axe that she ended up taking from the dude who almost beheaded her. It looked really cool at the start, but by the end, after it had gone through like the blacksmith forge and everything, that was amazing.
Yeah, that looked really cool. And she's like, "Oh, that'll do. I'll take that." Almost. Yeah. She's like, "All right, I'll go with it." I love the bag of holding that Simon had because it's like nice running joke. Because Edgin's like, make sure you hold on to this with your life, and Edgin's like, "Here, take this every time." And just puts it in his bag, which is essentially what Hermione's bag is like in Harry Potter. You just keep everything in there. So that's a great travel companion there. So the Deathly Token, we talked about that a little bit. So I thought that was all really cool stuff. I like the invisibility pendant that the daughter has.
Yeah.
Ends up playing a huge role later, and they kind of show that she was helping them thieve when before the mother passed away and everything. Yeah.
That was really
good
cool
stuff there. What will age the best from this movie?
The action is always going to look good. Like this is very well done. I know we're advancing with technology and everything like that, but this is to me
very
like
clean.
always gonna look good. Yes. The group on the whole, you said it how like everybody's gonna like the 4 main characters always.
Absolutely.
Like, you'll like
even the villain's kind of likable with Hugh Grant. Like he's kind of funny, but in like a nasty like slithering type way.
Yeah, he is. And I also liked. I mean, Sophina obviously is a psycho, but she was a very good villain. Like she like they all fit their roles. Obviously, Zank was really cool too. I mean, that's pretty much the 7 main characters outside of Kira, who's just the kid and she's fine for her role. And then the big thing too, I think coming out of this, and I think this is where this is a big win for like IPs that maybe haven't been turned into movies or shows necessarily, but the accessibility of this story. Because again, we're going into this and I'm thinking, Wes and I don't know shit about Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are we gonna like this? I like high fantasy a lot. Wes likes it too. It's like, I don't know, but you can turn huge properties, especially something like this, where it's a game, and yeah, you're going to use stuff that respects the game, but you can kind of just do your own thing, and it can still be successful.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think that also kind of goes to the credit of the directors there, John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein.
Mm.
They're really good. I mean, if you remember Spider-Man Homecoming, I mean, that was great that they were able to combine action, heart, and comedy and this kind of like perfect balance of a way. So I think they can kind of handle those adaptations really well. Same thing with Date Night. I mean, a lot of gets said about there's really no good comedy movies. Date Night is or Game Night. I keep saying Date Night. Game Night with Jason Bateman, Jesse Plemons, Rachel McAdams. That's like really one of the funnier movies that have come out in recent years. So I think they have a good idea of the comedy, and then again making that kind of accessible for all ages there to kind of consume. So I don't know.
Given that look. Have you watched that?
Yeah, it's good. It's a funny movie.
I still haven't given that a look. It's available on Hulu. It looks like okay. Maybe Disney Plus is Disney taking that down though. Who knows?
Oh yeah,
they're taking so much off of their stuff.
I'm with you with the likability of the main group. I mean, I think that's the huge lore. I think so often we've talked about like when we do reviews and stuff, it's like, I love this person, but I can't stand this person, you know? And it's like this year, it was just camaraderie all the time, which is nice, which is kind of what the game is all about. You know, I would imagine it's just getting with your friends and playing dice and whatever, shooting dice. Yeah. All that stuff.
Something like that.
All the cool relics. We talked about that already. I had Justice Smith down here, but that's when I thought he was related to Will Smith. So maybe we'll strike that. But I thought he did a good job. And then the character, you know, what will age the best if there's ever going to be a sequel? I think that character is going to see a big step up in power.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you were trying to predict the future of which character stock to maybe invest in right now, it would probably be Justin Smith's Simon. Yeah.
And we touched on him a little bit, but Hugh Grant as kind of this cunty, weaselly villain. If there was ever an actor to describe, you know, that use that word to describe someone, I think he's like the most pleasant way to be called that. Like he's a pleasant cunt.
So you've been talking to Mac too much. That's what's been going on here.
No, you know what it is. That word's into my head because I've been seeing this on Twitter. Is that people talk about serving cunt as like a phrase, and maybe if I'm just saying it too much now, we're gonna get struck on YouTube. But
maybe
it's like something that's big within the women community, perhaps the gay community, where like if you're kind of sassy, you know, you got like a little bit of edge to you, you're serving.
Did you, was that whole conversation rings a bell? Was that in the group chat or was that in, I don't remember. I don't know. I saw that somewhere else. I don't know.
It's been making the rounds. It got caught up in my algorithm.
Yeah. and then in the show.
Yeah, now it's in the show. Now it's in your algorithm at home. Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, make sure Alexa doesn't hear it.
But no, I thought Hugh Grant did that great role in The Gentleman, which is one of my favorite movies of recent years. So he, again, kind of plays that Weasley villain. And I was reading this somewhere that he played a similar type of role as like a likable villain in Paddington 2. So if you're into that, so maybe that's that. Yeah, so he's got a good typecast going.
So The Gentleman, would you recommend that?
Highly recommend. Yeah, love that movie.
I remember hearing about that, but never saw it. That's you got quite the cast there too.
That's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Huh.
What do you think is going to? What I did want to add though, for what will age the best, saving the reincarnation stone and giving it to Holga.
Yeah,
and at her death as she dies in the final battle, the daughter is Kira, I think, is so torn up, and then Chris Pine finally realizes that like, hey, I've been saving this stone to bring back not the mother of my daughter, but my wife. And that really like the mother, the woman who was there to take care of her, the mother, quote unquote, was Holga this whole time.
Yeah, that line was really good. Like that was really important in the course of all of it. and obviously just the way they depicted their relationship, like how much they hammered on it. It was
Right.
because in that moment I'm like, oh, like I could see in the past, like in other instances where it's like, oh, they use it here and like it's easy to write it off, but it's like no, he had every intention of using this elsewhere, and now he can't. And for this, because in as much as he loves Holga, like he wanted to bring his friggin' wife back, but it's not an option.
Yeah, and I wondered, is it all the way back? And like, do you get fully back at the state?
You could definitely do something odd with this. You probably could do something odd if he had brought his wife back. You probably could have done something there. But yeah, definitely here.
Interesting. What do you think will age the worst from this movie?
I mean, I had a tough time with this. I think your point you're going to bring up is an interesting one and could work. But for me, I don't think it's going to age
Not
like
a lot.
Yeah, not a lot. But like the thing that if you wanted to nitpick, the whole thing with like the Red Wizards, like wanting to like take over the world or like eradicate the world of everybody that's not them. Like obviously that's like a storyline that's been used over and over, but it's not like we're getting beat over the head with that in the course of things. It's like it's happening in the background and pushes some things forward, and maybe
you don't even really necessarily know it until later on in the movie anyway, right? Because you don't really know Sofina's real motives until she tells them and double crosses Forge, right?
Exactly. So it's not that bad. Like it's like you're not beating over the head with it.
Yeah, and I was kind of grasping at straws trying to come up with something here. And the only thing that I really rolled my eyes at, and this was in the very beginning, is when you see Simon using the same hand movements as Doctor Strange to do magic. And the same thing with Sofina. She was kind of doing it too, but she was kind of doing the sling ring, and you're almost getting like the same, not like the steel wool look, but the insignias that Doctor Strange would make. You're almost getting like the same type of CGI look there. So I was like, I don't know, like that seemed kind of lame.
I'd have to look back at this,
but that's small potatoes at the end of the day.
Was that supposed to be a pun?
Small potatoes?
Like is it because she used it? Would it be a pun? Like,
because she was eating potatoes.
He's all about potatoes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Play on words.
I'll take that.
Yeah. So it was not deliberate. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. Who had the best performance by a side character, and why are you Sank Yendar?
That would be. Oh, you know what? This is where the one little thing that they did. I don't know if there are Dungeons and Dragons video games. There has to be, but one little thing that they did with Zank that was really really cool. That felt like it was at least for video game fans. Was how they had the character like walking in a straight line. Like he walks in a really straight line. Is he gonna walk over the rocks? He looks just like a video game character as he's doing it. But also at the same time, it looks like it's the actual actor doing it. It was so well done. I love that.
And that was a nice little, like those little moments where it's like little moments of comedy and like quips to kind of looking at like you're in on the joke with the rest of the cast. I thought those worked really well. Sometimes they could be used too much and kind of be like, all right, like now you're just going for yucks, kind of like how I felt with Thor 4. But this was, I thought, was peppered in perfectly.
Yeah. Now, to me, we have this conversation too often, like side character, define it, whatever. Forge is in it a lot more than Zank is, but also at the same time, he's not one of the main group because of obviously the way that things transpire in the movie. So it's like a tough one. Like Zank's in it for a short bit.
He's neither in the group nor is he the main villain.
No, in the end, he's not the main
villain. That's where I'm going with that. But I think he's dealing with he's throwing 95 throughout. He's chewing up the scenery, Hugh Grant left and right. I think this guy's hysterical. And that like fake over the top cheese just works so well with Hugh Grant. That's like he's got that down pat. So I loved every moment in him. But Zank is that kind of the noble noble warrior who's like doesn't really want the crown. You know, and I thought he plays that role perfectly too. So it's like high honor, very noble, very inspiring, natural born leader. Walks with great posture, perfectly straight posture the whole time. And he's a badass, but he's not like, I'm going to steal your money, but he's like, I'm only going to do this if it's right.
Right. 100%. So I kind of lean towards Zank in this, but I mean, anybody who wants to go with Forge I can't go against you on that.
Yeah. Just as I said, I loved all those things about Zank. I'm going with Forge.
Yeah, yeah. Is he your favorite character? Period.
He might be. That was great. That was a great character.
He was great. All right, Wes. I'm excited to share this one with you, with the people.
Yeah, who lost the movie?
There's only one person who lost this movie, and that is Edgin's wife / Kira's mom, because she dies fairly early in this, obviously because her husband is a thief, and it's like he didn't just steal treasure; he stole cursed treasure that can be tracked, or I guess not.
And just one piece of treasure.
Yep, one piece, and she bites the bullet because of it. And then she's like, "Oh, it's like she's gonna get to be brought back and all this stuff. You won and blah blah blah." And then not only does Edgin decide like, "Hey, I want to save my friend because she's done so much. She made a sacrifice. She's been on my side." No, it's because she's more of a mom to Kira, which is not the mom's fault because the mom died.
Right. She doesn't get a chance to come back. The whole movie, they're like, wait till she comes back. She's going to fix all these problems. And they're like, psych. No, we're not doing it. She does take a big L here. That's tough. I was wondering, does this make you a loser or a winner of the movie if Edgin just somehow goes through this whole movie without without bringing any skills to the table?
He's
just skating by on good looks and charm.
Yeah. He's
a little bit of charisma.
Yeah, he's like, you're impressed by playoff Jimmy Butler? Hold my beer. Like this is like that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, but it's wild.
Because he's not really doing much.
Yeah, just on attitude and good looks.
See, like I would think he's the opposite of Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's doing it all.
He's
more who's just like a Rajon Rondo.
That's fair.
Not looking to score and just dropping dimes, setting everyone up for success.
Yeah, he's more of a facilitator. That actually makes more sense. I guess I more meant in the sense of like Jimmy Butler is obviously he's very talented, but he just when his attitude in like his approach, like when he ups that when you like incite him, like then it goes.
I see. I got you.
But your comparison makes more sense. He is.
I got you. Okay, so he can be Jimmy Butler and at the very same time not be Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, so he's Rajon Rondo. You're right. You got it. You won this round.
Who won the movie aside from me just right now?
I mean, I gotta go with Michelle Rodriguez here personally.
She was great.
She was great, and I know you say like, oh, she's badass, obviously Fast and Furious and everything, but the action scenes that she had in this movie, and I'm sure she had a stunt double and everything, but that shit was flawless, man. Every single bit of it, I was like just very impressed by it. And her character like was cool. She fit the role and everything like that. Don't get me wrong, but just like I was blown away by the action scene. So I think it's a huge win for her.
Yeah. I mean, she was great. I'm going with my guy Hugh Grant though.
That's fair.
Hugh Grant was awesome. He's the best performance by a side character. He wins the movie. I think he has the performance that makes me come away with this. And like there's great performances, like you said, Michelle Rodriguez, Justice Smith, Chris Pine, just across the board, all good stuff. But it's Hugh Grant for me that I come away when I think about this movie.
Yep. Although you could argue he lost the movie too. Or not Hugh Grant. Yeah. It would have been Forge that lost.
Forge, yeah, of course. And very sneaky guy that he would do that. I mean, what a horrible friend.
It's terrible.
Father.
It's
father.
He is a real piece of shit.
Yes. He's worthy of the C word. He's worthy of it.
I thought we moved past this.
But nevertheless, that concludes a fairly short, fairly quick exit survey review here of Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Amongst Thieves.
Dungeons and Dragons.
So Nick gave it an 89. I gave it an 87. That's a CMM aggregate score of 88. So go see it. It's available, like Nick said, video on demand, $20 rental, or on Paramount Plus if you have that as well. So that's